Imagine being a hunter-gatherer 13,000 years ago. You're minding your own business, gathering berries, hunting wildlife, and then suddenly a massive bright flash in the sky. A giant fireball seems to be coming towards you. It explodes with a deafening roar, sending shockwaves to the ground, flattening homes and trees. You feel a blast of heat and you see a flash before your eyes, and for just one moment, you think, is the world about to end? Except in this case, it wasn't. It was the start of a brand new era. A new era of agriculture, domestication, and innovation. A brand new era sparked by a cosmic impact. That's what a team of scientists have recently discovered by analysing sedimentary layers in an ancient site in Syria known as Abu Huraira. This was once a village that thrived, and it witnessed the transition from hunting and gathering to farming and herding. However, it was also the site of a devastating airburst that destroyed the village, and it set off a chain of global climate shift. How did this happen? How did a comet fragment change the destiny of humanity? And what can we learn about this event today? Well, the story begins with a comet. A comet is a chunk of ice and dust, and it orbits the sun, and occasionally it gets close enough to Earth that we can see it with our eyes. Comets are remnants of the early solar system, when planets were forming and colliding with other smaller bodies. Some are really large, up to 100 kilometers across, and they can pose a real threat to Earth. And about 12,800 years ago, such a comet was approaching our planet. But instead of hitting it as one big comet, it split as it entered the atmosphere. These pieces then exploded in the atmosphere, sending shockwaves across the lands. One of these pieces hit Syria, right above Abu Huraira. Abu Huraira was a unique place in human history. It was one of the first places that people started to settle down and build permanent housing, as well as start domesticating animals. It's one of the first places that people started to cultivate crops and develop complex social structures. Abu Huraira was a cradle of civilization, but it was also the target of mass destruction. The comet that exploded over Abu Huraira had the equivalent of 10 Hiroshima bombs. The fireball generated so much heat that it reached the boiling point of quartz, melting rocks and soil into glassy droplets. It also ignited a massive firestorm that destroyed everything in its path, including the village and its inhabitants. Now you may be asking, how do we know any of this? Well, the evidence for this cataclysmic event is found in the sedimentary layers that have been analysed at the site in Abu Huraira before it was submerged under a lake due to the construction of a dam. These layers contain traces of shock quartz, tiny diamonds, melted glass, and charred bones, all indicating a massive impact event. They also show the changes in how animals and plants were different both before the impact event and after the impact event. And one of the key pieces of information is the shocked quartz. It's called shock quartz because it's only created in extreme impact events, usually associated with comets or asteroids striking the Earth. We find these in craters all across the world, including Meteor Crater, which is one of the most famous. Before the impact, Abu Huraira was a lush, green and diverse environment, with forests, grasslands, wetlands and rivers. And the people who lived there had access to a very varied diet, with sources like wild cereals, berries, nuts, fish, gazelles and more. However, there's also evidence that they started to practice early forms of agriculture, planting wheat, barley and legumes in small pots around their houses. However, after the impact, Abu Huraira became a completely different place. It was dry and barren, with sparse vegetation and scarce water sources. The climate changed dramatically, becoming colder and drier for nearly 1,000 years. This period was known as the Younger Dryas, named after a flower that thrives in cold conditions. There are several hypotheses as to what was the main contributor to the Younger Dryas, but more and more evidence, such as the one in this study, shows that it was likely an impact event. But all agree that the Younger Dryas was caused by a disruption in oceanic currents from melting ice sheets. The people who survived this impact had to adjust and adapt to these new harsh conditions. They had to rely more on agriculture and animal husbandry to ensure that they had good food supplies. And due to rapidly changing conditions, they had to cultivate more resilient crops. This includes things like rye and oats. They also had to pen their livestock around fences to save them from predators. And food aside, they had to rebuild all their homes from scratch. And it's these changes, sparked by a cosmic impact event, that changed the course of human history forever. It started the journey of sustained agriculture and domestication of animals. It also paved the way for innovation in technologies, arts, religions, and culture that would shape the future of humanity. The cosmic impact event that struck Earth 13,000 years ago changed the way humans had to live on this planet. It changed the way that we lived with each other and the nature around us. And even though today we aren't facing pressures from a cosmic impact, we are facing pressures from another type of force, that is ourselves. Our human activities are causing global warming on a disastrous scale. We're having biodiversity loss and pollution, killing off and making many animals extinct. 13,000 years ago, the challenges of their time were how to have sustained agriculture and survive. Today, we can master those techniques. But one of the things we're still struggling with is ensuring that everybody lives in a safe and pollution-free environment, and we're sheltered from the ever-changing extreme weather conditions that we are predominantly causing. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.